a common law citizen, that he was actually under Admiralty and Maritime jurisdiction. Now, when we pull up some of these statutory requirements, it's an interesting thing that you brought up. But what they do is, these regulations are never enacted into law. We'll show you something on that just a little bit later, but they're not enacted into law. They just make a regulation, and because you voluntarily enter into this contract, all of these regulations just come up as enforceable to you, even though you don't know any better. Now, we have a Fair Credit Reporting Act that says if you make any loan or you get involved in any kind of a credit relationship, they got to tell you everything about how much the interest rate is, what the payments are, how long the payments are. I mean, they got to tell you every single thing about the contract. And in theory, all contracts, you're supposed to know all of the facts in regard to the contract. They just make the contract one-sided. And they figure, well, these people are not that well informed. They're not real bright. We'll just get them to sign this on their driver's license, and they'll voluntarily acquiesce into the situation, and then we can throw all of these regulations at them, and they'll never know how we hit them. So it's very important that you understand when you sign something, read it, for sure. If you don't understand everything that's down there, take it to somebody and ask some questions before you sign it. Because once you sign it, it's harder to get out of. But I highly recommend everybody lose their wallet and go down and redo their driver's license and sign the thing UD when you sign it, and put 1-207 without prejudice. Because right then and there you cut off all of this Admiralty and Maritime jurisdiction and you return back to your contract law of what? You're a common law citizen living at the common law. And they can have their contract, but it's not enforceable. Why is it not enforceable? Because you can state that you signed it under duress. Well, how do I know that? Look, I put UD right after my name. U period, D period. What do you think that means? Under development? Under the deck? That means under duress. When I signed this, I was under duress. I didn't voluntarily sign this. I had to sign this, or the cops were going to cuff me about the head. You see, I was under threat, intimidation, coercion. I still believe that I have a right to travel freely unencumbered. Notice you're not driving. You have a right to travel. The customary usage of the right to travel today is you get in a car. You don't go down to 7-Eleven on your bicycle. You get in a car. I want to go down and pick up a carton of milk. You get in your car. Another unique argument along these lines is, well, Judge, I asked this judge, I says, let me ask you a question, Judge. If I get in my car, the Constitution was still in effect in full force before I got in my car, right? Oh, yeah. Now, when I got in my car and I had my gun, it was still in effect, right? But when I closed the door, the Constitution was suspended, and everybody broke out laughing. How could that be? The act of getting in the car and closing the door made the Second Amendment unconstitutional. I said, that's totally ludicrous. How could that possibly be? You see, they have passed these laws, and they've gotten away with it for so long that it's kind of like a bank robber that's robbed 25 banks in a row, and on the 26th is a little miff that you getting excited. Man, I've done this 25 times. What's the big deal? Now you're going to bust me on the 26th time and you're going to get all upset. See, they've been getting away with it so long, nobody's ever taken them to the task. They feel like, well, I should be able to get away with it on the 26th time. An unconstitutional act, wrongfully done. It doesn't matter how many times in a row you did it, it's still unconstitutional. And the reality is, a person that's properly motivated, properly trained, and properly willing to do whatever is necessary and proper to defend the Constitution will almost always prevail on the merits. And that's what we're doing right now, and they're sweating on that right now. But the reality of this is, and you got to understand, the burden is on you. You want your Constitution, and you damn well better grab a hold of it, and you better hold on tight, and you don't let go for nothing. You read your Constitution, you learn your Constitution, you quote your Constitution chapter and verse, frontwards, backwards, upside down. When people come up to you, well, we want you to take a drug test as part of your job. Go fish. I ain't taking no drug test. I'm not required to prove a negative. You're required to prove a positive. If you think I'm doing something negligent, fine. Then you go file papers and you take necessary precautions and what have you, and we'll go to court. I says, but I'm not going to be convicted before the fact, and then I got to provide evidence that I'm not guilty. That's the cart before the horse. That's back-asswards. We're not going to do that. Not only that, the Fifth Amendment says I got a right not to be a participant in a compulsory process that's going to make an incriminating situation to me. Now, I'm not nothing to hide, and I'm not even arguing from what I got to hide. I'm arguing from the fact that the right stands and I'm exercising it. And then I usually ask some simple questions. Well, if they find anything when I get fired, hell yeah. You're going to be penalized. So there are penalties. And if they find anything, would I be criminally prosecuted? Could be. Huh? So why would you want to do some damn stupid thing like that? And give them a piss test. This guy comes up to me at the last convention we had, and they want to take a test as to whether or not he's got any drugs in his system. I said, first of all, what's in my system is between me and my doctor, and none of your damn business. I says, I don't take drugs, and I got nothing to hide, but I'm not going to voluntarily enter into anything. What if your guy screws up and now you say I got drugs? Now I can't get a job ever? What, are you kidding me? Is some new hobby you just took up? I'm not going to play that game. It is not my burden to prove a negative. It is your burden to prove a positive. If you have a just claim for which relief can be granted, you go file your papers and we'll sit down and talk. But until such time, you go fish. Because I'm not going to play. I'm not required to play, and I'm not going to play. And if you fire me for the exercise of my constitutional right, I'm going to tell you about Miller versus United States, which says, the claim and exercise of a constitutional right shall not be converted into a crime. And you're doing that, and you're punishing me. And if you fire me for it, I will sue your socks off and attach everything you own, bank, business, and home. Now make my day. And that's how I feel about it. So you find another turkey to jerk with, because I'm not going to play. Okay? Now, we want to get into some serious things. I want to get into this this argument about traffic cases. This is the most practical way to deal with traffic cases. When you are pulled over, what is happening? Now you got a policeman. He's conducting discovery. Anything you say can and will be held against you. And if you don't think so, just keep rattling. And it'll all get written down on the ticket. I found that out. Told the officer he'd just been waiting to get this ticket so he can fight it and beat it all the way to the Supreme Court. Wrote that word for word right on the ticket. So, when these people are with you, you keep your hatch buttoned. And I mean, I'm guilty, I admit it. Sometimes I rattle on. It's been known to happen. So I'm telling you not to do it. You button your hatch. If you say anything, it's yes, sir, and no, sir. What can I do for you? And they always like to say, going a little fast, weren't you? I say, I neither admit nor deny, and I leave you to your proofs. Oh, a lawyer. Nah, I'm not a lawyer. But I'm smart enough to keep my mouth shut. Because I realize anything I say is going to be put down on your paper. And so you got a charge, you make it, and I'll see you in court. Oh, you want to go to court? Oh, yeah, I always go to court. I fight everything, murder one. It's kind of like a hobby of mine. You know? Well, let's see what we get. And they walk back to the cart, and they start writing. Or they usually come back and they say, well, you're going a little fast. Think about slowing down. We're going to let you go with the warning. You got to have a good day. Thank you, officer. You have a good day, too. God bless you and keep you safe. Okay? Courtesy. I can blow their doors off anytime I want. Still, yes, sir, no, sir. Courtesy. Courtesy pays. You treat people the way you like to be treated, and 9 times out of 10, you will benefit. You treat people like a yahoo, and you're going to get treated like a yahoo yourself. So I highly recommend courtesy as an effective way. I had a policeman one time tell me, you ever ate a flashlight the hard way? And I looked at him and I said, quite frankly, officer, most of the officers I have run into are extremely professional. And I treat them with a great deal of courtesy and professionalism because I respect what they're doing and that they risk their life every day. And at no time would I give an officer enough static that he would want to make me eat a flashlight. I mean, I treat them very cordially. And I respect what they're trying to do. I don't agree with everything they're trying to do because some of the stuff is kind of unlawful. I said, but I will give them the courtesy they have coming. He turned to me and he said, I'm sorry, I got a big mouth. I didn't mean it. You're right. I was out of line. See, you treat people with courtesy, and 9 times out of 10, you can even back down some guy that's talking a lot of manure. But the louder you talk and the more belligerent you talk, the more louder and the more belligerent he has to talk. It's kind of like Newton's third law of physics. Every action has an opposite and opposing reaction. You talk crap, then he's got to talk crap. So my advice to people is don't do that. It's unmotivated. Who's doing this, you or him? Remember, the best weapon you have is the one right between your ears. So use it.